Today we're continuing to read the Pilgrim's Progress. Then said the interpreter again to the maid that waited upon these women, "Go into the vestry, and fetch out garments for these people." So she went and fetched out white raiment and laid it down before him. So he commanded them to put it on. It was fine linen, white and clean. When the women were thus adorned, they seemed to be afraid one of the other, for that they could not see that glory each one had in herself, which they could see in each other. Now therefore they began to esteem each other better than themselves. "For you are fairer than I am," said one, "and you are more beautiful than I am," said another. The children also stood amazed to see into what fashion they were brought. The interpreter then called for a manservant of his, one Greatheart, and bid him take sword, and helmet, and shield. "And take these my daughters," said he, "and conduct them to the house called Beautiful, at which place they will rest next." So he took his weapons and went before them, and the interpreter said, "Godspeed." Those also that belonged to the family sent them away with many a good wish. So they went on their way and sang, "This place hath been our second stage. Here we have heard and seen those good things that from age to age to others hid have been. The dunghill raker, spider hen, the chicken too, to me have taught a lesson. Let me then conformed to it be. The butcher, garden, and the field, the robin and his bait, also the rotten tree doth yield me argument of weight, to move me for to watch and pray, to strive to be sincere, to take my cross up day by day, and serve the Lord with fear." Chapter 4. The Cross and the Consequences. Now I saw in my dream that they went on, and Greatheart before them. So they went, and came to the place where Christian's burden fell off his back, and tumbled into a sepulchre. Here then they made a pause, and here also they blessed God. "Now," said Christiana, "comes to my mind what was said to us at the gate, to wit, that we should have pardon by word and deed. By word, that is, by the promise; by deed, that is, in the way it was obtained. What the promise is, of that I know something. But what it is to have pardon by deed, or in the way that it was obtained, Mr. Greatheart, I suppose you know. Wherefore, if you please, let us hear you speak thereof." Pardon by the deed done is pardon obtained by some one for another that hath need thereof, not by the person pardoned, but in the way, saith another, in which I have obtained it. So then, to speak to the question at large, the pardon that you and Mercy and these boys have obtained was obtained by another, to wit, by him that let you in at the gate, and he hath obtained it in this double way. He has shown righteousness to cover you, and spilt his blood to wash you in. This is brave. Now I see that there was something to be learnt by our being pardoned by word and deed. Good Mercy, let us labor to keep this in mind. And my children, do you remember it also? But, sir, was not this it that made my good Christian's burden fall from off his shoulders, and that made him give 3 leaps for joy? Yes, it was the belief of this that cut off those strings that could not be cut by other means, and it was to give him proof of the virtue of this that he was suffered to carry his burden to the cross. I thought so, for though my heart was lightsome and joyous before, yet it is 10 times more lightsome and joyous now, and I am persuaded by what I have felt, though I have felt but little as yet, that if the most burdened man in the world was here, and did see and believe as I now do, it would make his heart merry and blithe. There is not only comfort and the ease of a burden brought to us by the sight and consideration of these, but an endeared love born in us by it. For who can, if he doth but once think that pardon comes, not only by promise, but thus, but be affected with the way and means of his redemption, and so love the man that hath wrought it for him? True, methinks it makes my heart bleed, to think that he should bleed for me. O thou loving one, O thou blessed one, thou deservest to have me. Thou hast bought me, thou deservest to have me all. Thou hast paid for me 10,000 times more than I am worth. No marvel that this made the water stand in my husband's eyes, and that it made him trudge so nimbly on. I am persuaded he wished me with him, but vile wretch that I was, I let him come all alone. O mercy, that thy father and mother were here, yea, and Mrs. Timmers also. Nay, I wish now with all my heart that here was Madame Wanton too. Surely, surely, their hearts would be affected, nor could the fear of the one, nor the powerful passions of the other, prevail with them to go home again and refuse to become good pilgrims. You speak now in the warmth of your affections. Will it, think you, be always thus with you? Besides, this is not given to every one, nor to every one that did see your Jesus bleed. There were that stood by, and that saw the blood run from his heart to the ground, and yet were so far off this, that instead of lamenting they laughed at him, and instead of becoming his disciples, did harden their hearts against him. So that all that you have, my daughters, you have by a peculiar feeling, made by a thinking upon what I have spoken to you. This you have, therefore, by a special grace. Now I saw still in my dream that they went on till they were come to the place that simple and sloth and presumption lay and slept in, when Krishna went by on pilgrimage. And behold, they were hanged up in irons a little way off on the other side. Then said Mercy to him that was their guide and conductor, What are those 3 men, and for what are they hanged there? These 3 men were men of very bad qualities. They had no mind to be pilgrims themselves, and whomsoever they could find, correction, and whomsoever they could, they hindered. They were for sloth and folly themselves, and whomsoever they could persuade with, they made so too, and withal taught them to presume that they should do well at last. They were asleep when Krishna went by, and now you go by. They are hanged. But could they persuade any to be of their opinion? Yes, they turned several out of the way. There was Slow Pace that they persuaded to do as they. They also prevailed with one Short Wind, with one No Heart, with one Linger after Lust, and with one Sleepy Head, and with a young woman her name was Dull, to turn out of the way and become as they. Besides, they brought up an ill report of your Lord, persuading others that he was a hard taskmaster. They also brought up an evil report of the good land, saying it was not half so good as some pretended it was. They also began to speak falsely about his servants, and to count the very best of them meddlesome, troublesome, busybodies. Further, they would call the bread of God husks, the comforts of its children fancies, the travel labor of pilgrims things to no purpose. Nay, said Christiana, if they were such, they never shall be bewailed by me. They have but what they deserve, and I think it is well that they hang so near the highway, that others may see and take warning. But had it not been well if their crimes had been engraven on some plate of iron or brass, and left here where they did their mischiefs for a caution to other bad men? So it is, as you well may perceive, if you will go a little to the wall. And that's the end of the reading for today. Have a good day.